Welcome back to another video review for boltaction.net. Today I've got two vehicles for you from Blitzkrieg Miniatures. The first is an SDKFZ 251 half-track, and the other is what I believe is a Panzer III G model, or one of the earlier version models. It does not have the reinforced mantlet for the front of the turret. Both these miniatures or models are fully resin models from Blitzkrieg Miniatures. They are 148 scale, not the 156 scale models that they have. As many of you know, I prefer the 148 scale over the 156 scale. They're excellent models with crisp detail and almost zero assembly. I cannot stress enough how awesome that is. For those of us, again, who have been doing 148 scale miniatures, that we've had to rely quite a bit on 148 scale plastic model kits, require quite a bit of assembly. Even a lot of the other 156 scale options out there require quite a bit of cleanup and assembly. These Blitzkrieg miniature models are crisp, clean, and almost zero assembly. I'm going to start off with the review of the half-track, which I think is fantastic for anyone who's wanting to do a Panzer Grenadier Force or an armored Panzer Grenadier Force. I think there's a lot of modeling opportunities with this model, and a lot of really good details on them for anyone who's looking at playing and getting a couple half-tracks into their army. So this is the late war version of the SDKFZ 251, the D model. You can tell just by the way that the armor slopes. If you look close enough, you'll see that the tracks are very crisp. Those are all one-piece tracks. You don't have to do any assembly of those tracks. The only real, again, like on other models, the only real issues with mold lines and with miscast resin is going to be on the bottom of the tracks and the bottom of the hull itself where the injection went in. This is not going to be an issue. No one's going to really see it, and if it's a problem, you could probably scrape it down or put a base on this model. The only 2 points where you have to glue anything on this model are the wheels and then the machine gun on top. With that's the shield and the machine gun separate. This machine gun is resin, so it's got some flex to it. You may want to replace it with a plastic machine gun if you have some Warlord kits laying around, or a metal one if you have a different kit laying around. I think it would be really neat to put a guy in the top firing the machine gun or manning the machine gun. There's also lots of detail on the interior, which I really like. There's Panzerfaust, there's extra machine gun, there's rifle, there's helmets, there's looks like some sort of tarp, or maybe even a blanket roll or something like that. And then you've got a little bit of detail back in there for the seats. There's not a ton there. You can just see the seats, but otherwise it's just a wall of resin. Not really a lot of modeling opportunities there. But on the whole, this model is going to work great for you if you're looking at doing Panzer Grenadiers that are armored. Now, the one thing that you could also do with this model is swap out the machine gun for, say, a 37mm anti-tank gun. If you had an extra one laying around, you could mount that on top. You could put an extra mortar inside the crew compartment. You could probably even get away with turning this into a drilling, which I plan on doing down the road. I plan on getting probably 2 of these to add to my force already, and adding either a drilling, which is not a quad, but 3 2cm anti-aircraft guns on the top. Those are actually really, really effective, and bolt action are a really good option for the Germans. Or even adding a Pak 40 to the top as well. So, like I said, a lot of really good options. In fact, if you had a 222 armored car, you could completely cover the top of this and turn it into the recce version of the 251 by swapping out the turret, which would also be really cool. A comparison with a Tamiya kit. Here is my Tamiya half-track that I've been running for years. There is the side-by-side with the Blitzkrieg Miniatures model. As you can tell, they're both pretty spot on. If I had some extra track laying around, I might add that in the front if I wanted to. That was pretty common for them to reinforce the armor on vehicles by throwing extra track on there, and that's where they would store it. They'd also use it for extra track in case it damaged track or something. As you can see in my Tamiya kit, I've added crew, which could easily be done to this Tamiya or to this Blitzkrieg, and when you flip this up, you can tell they're almost identical. In fact, you probably would be hard-pressed to tell the difference between the two with the 3-foot rule. This is going to be the same cost as this, and this took me 8 seconds to assemble, and this probably took me 2.5 hours to assemble, and that doesn't include putting those guys in there. And those are Wargames Factory miniatures. The Wargames Factory figures are pretty nice, but they're smaller than the Warlord ones, but in 148 scale vehicles, they fit really well because they're more true scale, and so I dropped those in there as options. And so I'd recommend those Wargame Factory ones if you want to crew out any of your vehicles for your Germans. So as you can tell, they're a pretty close match, a pretty good match, and again, a very good option for even if you're looking at financially, because the plastic kits are going to run you between 30 and 40 bucks, and it's about 32 bucks US for the Blitzkrieg miniatures half track. That goes for most of their tanks and vehicles as well. So can't say enough good things about this model. If you're looking at armored Panzer Grenadiers, I think this is you really want to stop in and look at Blitzkrieg miniatures as an option. Their 156 scale kits are pretty much identical to their 148 scale kits. In fact, they have more 156 scale kits, which makes me a little jealous because I'd love to have those options in 148. But the quality of the sculpt, the quality of the resin, the ease of assembly is going to go a really long way, and you're going to really be happy with that decision if you go with them. The other model I picked up was an early war Panzer III. This model, 3 pieces. It had the turret, the barrel was separate, I had to glue that in, and then the hull itself. So if we look at the hull, we can see, again, awesome work on the tracks. We've got those injection spots on the bottom and kind of on the track, which may or may not be an issue for you. I don't know, like I said, I don't think it's really going to matter. You can either cover them up, you can base this model, or just ignore it. It's going to be fine. Track work is really finely detailed, no flash at all, no cleanup. Is literally going to be needed on these. Got lots of stowage, extra wheels, hatches that have lots of good detail on front and back. And then this turret sits really nice inside the mounting spot. Spins really well. There's no uneven wobbling on mine. I should add that this hatch has to be glued in, which is really cool because if you wanted to split this hatch down the middle and with a hobby knife and open that up, you could add a commander in there super easy. It would take almost no work, and that would be really good if you were running a tank company and you wanted to distinguish your command tank from the rest of your tanks easily. So great tank, great detail. I have a plastic Tamiya Panzer IV here just for size comparison. I don't have a plastic Panzer III, but as you can tell, these models match up pretty good. I have a really awful time assembling the tracks on this. It was super annoying because these pieces all, I believe these are the rubber tracks, and they just don't want to hold right. And so this does sit a little uneven, and I have a rough surface here. Panzer IV in general is a little taller than the Panzer III also, but as you can tell for 146, the size comparison is pretty excellent. My experience with the Blitzkrieg miniatures as far as painting goes, I know as a resin model you want to do some really good cleaning with some soapy water. That's honestly all I've done because I use Krylon flat black primer, which is like more of an automotive primer because it's cheap. I've never had major issues with that sticking to any models or any issues with models that I've painted that way having the paint flake off, like I know Patch and some of the other guys down under have had with their resin models. I think that they have a really good product at Blitzkrieg Miniatures. They've got a really good process, and I just haven't seen the issues that you've seen with some of the other companies as far as paint flaking off and molding being an issue, any of the mold releases or the agents there. But you probably do want to just give it a good scrub with soapy water. I usually do it before I go to bed, and then by morning the next day when I get off work, it's ready to prime. So definitely keep these models in mind. They have a lot of different Panzer III variants. I know my buddy Colby here has picked up quite a few of their Panzer IIIs because he's doing a German tank force, and all the models that he has are really great. They've got 3s, they've got 2s, they've got Panzer IVs, they've got Tigers and Panthers, and in a lot of different variants as well. So definitely look at those models and keep that in mind as an option. The other thing was, in my last video where we had the American half-tracks and Shermans, I had mentioned 50 cals. And so I had asked Blitzkrieg if they could throw in some 50 cals, and they did. And so if you are in need of 50 cals for your Shermans or your American tanks, just some extras, just when you put in your order, ask them if they can make a couple for you, and they'll charge you a little extra probably for it. And they'll come in. They're all resin, so you want to be careful on the barrels, but I think that's really awesome of the company to be able to be flexible like that. And so I'll be looking at mounting these on top of my Shermans so that they have that 50 cal option as an upgrade. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to boltaction.net's YouTube page, and as many of you know, we've recently transitioned and rolled everything into the WWPD network. All our articles are going to be posted there moving forward. Make sure you download the WWPD app so you can continue to listen to the guys down under on the Ghost Army podcast, and come back multiple times a day to WWPD to check out new articles that are both bolt action and other gaming related. Until next time,